Hello all and welcome to another History with R&R Live. With me as always, Jeff Franklin. How are you doing?
Oh, I've had better days, but I'm here. I'm
Yes,
working.
yes.
So, yes, I'm functioning.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Saturday my nurse was an idiot and decided to waste a $250 shot. Instead of putting it in me, she put it all over the floor. Brilliant.
Oops.
Which means my back is killing me. But we're here and we're gonna go. We're gonna do this live and we're gonna have some fun. So today is another very special History with R&R Live. We have a very special guest, and without further ado, we're going to bring him back. Last show he did here, we did very good numbers, so I'm not stupid. I brought back Joseph. How are you doing?
And hello and greetings from the future. And yeah, I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thank you very much for asking. The
Welcome,
workday is
Yosef.
over, so I can spend some time with you here, guys, which is always a pleasure and privilege.
Oh, it's the privilege
It's
is all ours.
absolutely.
We have somebody who lived history. So, for those of you who may have missed the show last week, and I'll get to saying hello to everybody in chat in a second. I'm still ahead of Bird's normal reading chat, so as long as I'm not 30 minutes behind, I'm good, right, Bird? Uh, all right, I'm gonna get in shit for that one. Oh well. So for those of you who missed last time, Josef Patrick grew up under communist rule. It wasn't until he hit the teenage years that he got to experience life without the wonderful Communist Party. So, as I said then, it's really interesting to be able to talk to somebody who lived it. You can read every book you want. The problem is the books only cover half the story, and they don't cover it all. So today we're hoping to be able to learn some more things that you wouldn't associate with living under communist rule, that here in the West we're kind of ignorant to because we've had it good for so long that we don't know what it's like. Um,
And we
so
really don't.
so we brought in Yosef again, and we'll try not to keep him as long as we did last time. We kind of talked his ear off last time, so.
As long as there were people in the chat and enjoy the show, I think it's all good. Yeah.
So before we get into it, I'm just gonna say hello to Dadman55. Welcome, sir. He's my he plays Axis and Allies with me, the poor bastard. And then Brightest Day, welcome. Thomas Potts, my love, Mrs. Canuck, welcome. Um, and she was helping us with a little bit of sound testing earlier, so that was good. John DeMarco, welcome. Of course, the Random Menace, or our guest today. Bird of Prey
Yosef.
5, Kapla Bird, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I haven't been making it to shows lately. I've just been either sore, tired, or both. So I don't get around as much as I used to, but I still pay attention. Sometimes I watch the repeats. I just don't always make it live for various of reasons, whether I'm in dialysis or sleeping or resting or yeah, stuff like that. But anyway, so here we go. So I kind of let you start us off, Yosef, and just kind of
Yeah,
where
you
you'd like to
mentioned you
go.
mentioned earlier in the stream that like a minute ago that you keep forgetting how good you are actually, and yeah, we have here a saying that if a goat feels good, you send it dancing on the ice, and
Ah,
basically it means that yeah. People who didn't live certain times cannot appreciate what they have right now, and the problem
yeah,
is that basically the communist regime broke down in '89, so over 30 years ago. So there are generations of people who don't know any other lifestyle or
yeah,
um, type of life without the restrictions that let's say my parents had or I had in my first 14 years of my life.
yeah,
So yeah, definitely. When there is sometimes I read like on Facebook, where else. It can be still Twitter, but interestingly, Twitter is the least popular social network here. So
Okay.
it's usually Facebook where I read it when people are whiny little bitches crying over over how good the life was because everybody had work, everybody had the salary, and everybody got everything that they needed, and they keep forgetting that it's completely not the truth. So, and
Yeah.
I keep reminding them, and sometimes they just block me, sometimes they are arguing with me, but it's lost cause with many of them.
Oh yeah. It's back in the good old days. It's like, no, you
Yeah.
morons.
I hope Bert appreciates that I'm
Oh, there we go. The Bird of Prey 5 mug.
drinking coffee.
There's some product placement.
Yeah, a little bit. You know,
Do you get some
those.
royalties for that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you?
definitely for your channel. Yes, so you know, before we started the actual stream, the history, that is a gorgeous mug.
Oh, it's
Um,
terrific.
Before we even started the stream, I was like, okay, let's talk about a few of the things that were like what we had, what we didn't have, and you started with VCRs, and
Yeah, because this was
that I mentioned in the previous
how
stream.
like VCRs
Yeah.
were like the beginning and the end, you know, and here we are at the same time, and before that of being like Atari and you know VCRs, and we
Nothing
had
here.
the big Betamax war and stuff like that, and you know you guys are like VCR, you know, like and we
Pretty
don't
much.
appreciate that at all because we had free market, so.
Yeah.
I bought my first CD in 1990, so literally everything that I could get, like this type of electronics or whatever, was literally only after the Iron Curtain fell here.
Yeah.
So
I remember when my parents bought a CD player in like 1983, 84, somewhere in that area.
the first CD that I ever saw, and I mentioned that my uncle, my mother's brother, was working at the U.S. Embassy at the time. I held my first CD in my hand. I think it was 87 or 88 when we were
Okay.
visiting him in Prague at the
Yeah.
time. So, and it was literally the first time I held a CD in my hand. So, and then the first that I ever bought was literally 1990.
Yeah.
So, and it was Admiral from the movie that Admiral loved so much, the soundtrack to Top Gun.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah, there was that
That's-
one, and then his other one that couldn't ever play today. But yeah,
So yeah, but you know what? There were like mundane things that we couldn't get. As I mentioned, that I had my first kiwi probably 92 because nobody was shipping the type of fruits over here.
yeah,
Oranges, for example, something that is
yeah, like everyday.
everyday commodity, or something that you just go and buy anytime you want, was available actually before Christmas. That was it. So for the Christmas period, we could get some oranges. There were shops like a chain of stores. They were literally called, because they had great imagination. So those were called fruits and vegetables.
Oh yeah,
That was the name of the store chain. It was state owned, obviously.
obviously, yeah.
And they had a
Yeah,
logo.
that's definitely imagination. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a logo, basically O and Z, because fruit is ovocie, which is O, and Z is vegetables for zelenina. So they had a logo OZ. So basically, like F and V would be like very basic stuff, and that was all the merchandise they did. And some of the advertisement is as well hilarious from the time, because there were no brands. It was just cabbage.
Yeah.
Imagine, you had advertisement for cabbage because
Yeah.
it was cabbage season. So
Yeah.
no brand, nothing, just cabbage. Buy
Yeah,
cabbage.
make your cabbage rolls now because in a month no more cabbage.
No more cabbage, pretty much. Yeah. And with the oranges, the funniest thing is we got Cuban oranges because Cuba, obviously, communist
Yeah.
country, but in the right geographical region where oranges grew. So we got the Cuban oranges. But I think I mentioned it even last time that they were traveling like for probably half a year. So when they came here to Czechoslovakia, then it was dried out. So basically,
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, you did mention.
you guys were the practice ground for the dried out fruit market that we now have, right? The dried fruit market started
Yeah,
in
pretty much.
Czechoslovakia.
Pretty much. For example, in terms of cars, it was as well one of those things where you, of course, when you want to buy a car, you can either go to a car dealership and you can buy a used car, you can buy a new car that is in the showroom, or you can ask for a customized something, and it will take some time till they build it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and basically, probably, I'm not sure how in the US, here in Europe, you usually do something like 10% payment up front, and then whatever you agree
Yeah.
on. But at the time, it was like, okay, you want a car? Fine, we put you on the list.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it
Sure.
wasn't like you could choose like what color, what type of
No.
engine, whatever. It's
No.
like you want a car. Okay, we put you on the list.
And the first piece of junk that we get, we give you.
Yeah,
and you like it.
No question asked.
And 2 years. You would wait for your car like 2 years. So, and it was like they got in the store then probably like 5-6 cars, and you could choose probably between you could choose one of the 3 blue or 3 white cars that were
Yeah.
there.
Hmm.
But they were basically the same. It was usually Skoda, and I see Mr. CCDV is in the chat. So
Yes,
hello,
welcome,
Mr.
Mr.
CCDV.
CCDV.
And not Ryan Johnson joined as well.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
He did. Yes. Welcome.
So-
Not Ryan Johnson.
I want to welcome you guys. So yeah, that was pretty much how it worked with the cars, and it was like you could get a Skoda, which is the Czechoslovakian brand. Now they are owned by Volkswagen, like within the Volkswagen group.
Yeah.
And now they are actually good, but I can tell you that it was basically a coffin on wheels. In the 70s
Wow.
and 80s, there are certain videos on YouTube like crash tests of those cars, and no, like it's literally a coffin on wheels.
Yeah.
It had the engine in the back,
Yeah. Like
and
most. Yeah.
and the front was so light that actually people in winter put like 100-pound cement bags into the front trunk so that the car didn't slide off the road. Something
Yeah.
like winter tires, summer
Traction.
tires.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
It
used
was.
to do the old sandbags in the trunk.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but still, it was just a horrible car.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like wee.
And 2-year waiting list. Yeah, Mr. CCTV, definitely it was a 2-year wait list. And the thing is, not everybody got their car. Not
No.
everybody. It was literally if you were not if you had some comments in the past about the regime or whatever.
Yeah, you suddenly didn't deserve a car.
No, you couldn't get a car, or you could get your car, but you would have to wait then not 2 years, but probably 3 years or 4 years, or yeah. So it wasn't so funny, and we had basically either the Skodas, or then obviously the better ones were from Russia, like Lada, or then another brand was Moskvich.
Okay.
Which literally Moskvich, like Moscow.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that those cars were produced probably on the same lines as the tanks, because it was literally it was full metal, like no
Yeah.
plastic parts, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
This is
it
what
was-
you need for a car.
Yes. Built
Yeah.
for harsh Russian winters, and you could fix it like with a wire and a hammer.
Yeah. A little bit of duct tape, you're good to go.
MacGyver it.
Yeah, you could MacGyver it, but yeah, those were like, but those were probably like the three types of cars, and they had like, it was for a decade. It was even for a decade, or with the Skoda, even the design didn't change probably for 3 decades.
No. Well, it's the
So-
same thing with I think of Volkswagen, the Bug.
Oh, the
'Cause,
Beetle.
Yeah, because originally the Beetle was was the German per people's car.
Yeah.
Under a certain regime, everyone was promised a Beetle, and it didn't go to plan. I'll just put it that way.
But definitely those were like the fun times. It was literally with the cars. It was interesting with about everyday supplies as well. You know, when there was like with the virus as it started, and there was like toilet paper shortage.
Yeah,
Just because people were buying it and buying it in bulks and everything. It was toilet paper shortage as well, like regularly for no reason, not because people were buying it. They just didn't produce it, or there was like.
Yeah, it was like, oh, we forgot to produce that last week. Oh, well.
Although, I think we're experiencing some of those shortages now.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go to the store and it's amazing. I can't find the thing that I want. They just don't have it.
Yeah.
Oh, the taste of communism. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? It's not. But it's not like you are looking for a specific brand and they don't have the brand, and you could go to another store and buy a different brand. There was nothing like.
Yeah, there was just nothing. It wasn't there at all.
Because once again everything was state owned, so there was not like you had 10 types of or 20 or 30 or 40 types of I don't know, some breakfast cereals.
Yeah,
there was one.
You had the communist approved breakfast cereal.
And it was like basic, tasteless, and you had to So it was based on the original Kellogg's recipe, probably. Because if you know the history about John Kellogg, he was a nut job, basically.
Yes, he was.
And he wanted to make the breakfast cereal as bland as possible. That was his whole idea. So we had the recipe, probably the original one.
Yeah, before somebody snuck in some sugar.
Yeah.
We just won't tell him, okay? But we added some sugar.
Actually, his brother did.
Yeah. It was just,
we want to actually sell some.
Yeah. We're going to add a few things. We just won't tell them, okay? Yeah, we'll sell this over there. They seem to have a market for it.
So basically, when there. If I recall, something like you have like shopping malls, like I think the first shopping mall was opened here in probably 95.
Yeah.
Like the modern type shopping mall.
Yeah.
There was one that was opened in the 70s in Bratislava, which is the capital of Slovakia here, and there was already one in Prague. and those were like, but it wasn't like shopping mall where you had like separate stores. It was just one huge area, and it was literally something like farmers market, like indoors farmers market, but it was with everything, with clothes, with food, with everything. But
Almost sounds
you
like
know,
an indoor flea market.
yeah, or flea market, yeah, something like that. But with new stuff and everything was, but there were not like brands or what something.
No.
Yeah, it was, there were brands. There were brands, but there was like clothing company had a certain name, and they were doing literally everything from underwear to winter coats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so.
buy you buy communist brand. Communist brand much better. Yeah.
No problem. You know, you had literally no problem with making a decision. Like when you are
No.
in an aisle with 40 types of cereal, you are literally there's an expression for it when you cannot decide just because your selection is so huge.
Yeah.
You didn't have that.
No. No. It
You
was
had basically two options: yes or no.
yeah. It was. Do you want peanut butter? Yeah. Here is peanut butter. Yeah.
Peanut butter, not here.
No, not here. No.
Not
No
here.
peanut butter for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, that's why I always value talking to people who lived it, because this is the kind of stuff you don't read in the books, because it's like, oh well, this isn't very important, so we'll just skip over it.
Yeah,
Um,
because in books they are talking about the big stuff, about some
Yeah.
stories, about some lives and everything, but not about the mundane things.
No,
Where
the stuff
you-
that you wouldn't associate
Yeah,
with it.
where just imagine that right now when I look at the cities, okay, they change in 30 years, like new buildings and new everything. So basically, literally the bigger cities. And when I'm saying bigger cities, the largest city here in Slovakia is Bratislava with 500,000 people there.
Yeah,
That's the largest city. Yeah. But what did so there are like new buildings, new everything, new infrastructure, and the city is growing like outside on the outside, but you cannot make the roads wider. You cannot
No.
make you cannot and the thing is, I remember when we were living in the flat there was literally a parking place in front of the house, and there were probably 10 cars parking up in front of that house. Yeah, for let's say how many on that street, it could be something like 500 families living, and there were maybe 10-20 cars, literally. That was it. People didn't have cars. Now it was something like 1 car per 5 families or something, and now it's basically pretty much normal that you have 1, 2, sometimes 3 cars for one household.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The stuff we enjoy today is like, what the hell?
Yeah. So literally pretty much it was weird when I see some footage from the time from TV, and you see the streets basically when there's a rush hour, the streets are, you would call it empty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rush hour, 4 cars.
Nothing. Usually buses, trams, but one thing that is very well built, but in Europe in generally, and it is still fact until today, is the public transportation system. In Europe, it is very well built. I know that in the United States, it's not that good in many areas, and that you have to rely on cars.
It depends on where you are. Like here in Winnipeg, we have an okay system.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Canada is a little bit different.
Yeah, we have then if you go to Toronto is just public transport hell, because Toronto has everything. So you'll go downtown Toronto and you'll have a bus, a train, and a cab all at the same intersection.
Hmm.
It's freaking nuts.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the bus? Do you want to take the train? Do you want to take the car?
And now you are stuck with a selection and you cannot decide. Crazy.
Yeah, it's like, which one's cheaper?
Yeah, pretty much. Then
Yeah.
there's the decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
That you need to take. So literally that was a very interesting part of going for shopping. You know what we had in common with Canada, and this is one of those things: milk in bags, in plastic bags.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is something that
it's kind of still it's going out of style now. You have to be pretty much up north now, but
but it is the only country where I still hear that
Yeah.
you have it.
oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
we used to have it, and it was discontinued in the 90s.
yeah.
In
Yeah.
the 90s, because
It's mainly for like up north where they have to send in bulk,
Mhm.
or somewhere remote. That's usually where you'll find that now. I know, like if you walked into Walmart in Winnipeg, you're not finding it now. But if you go up north, probably.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. Milk
Oh, yeah.
in plastic bags.
It literally is in a plastic bag that is like a rectangle, and you just put it into a jug. With the plastic bag, you just
Yep.
cut the corner, and you just pour it from the bag. Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much
Yeah,
the thing.
but that's usually up north or in one of the hard to get to locations. Which
And
there's a lot of.
by the way, it was not like once again we had milk like two types. One was low fat, one was 3.5%, and then there was it usually lasted the milk. You could have it like you could either boil it and it would last like 2-3 days, or you had to drink it basically within the day or within like 24 hours before
Or it was gone. Yeah.
before it got sour. But the fun part is that I have to say that with the principles that they were using then, you could basically make I don't know what are the products called, and when the milk gets sour, so it doesn't get it's not spoiled, but it gets sour, and you can make different types of milk-based products out of it,
like cottage cheese.
cottage cheese and this type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part. And then was the third one, and that was and it was then sold in a carton like we have it today.
Yeah.
And that one was twice as expensive, but it lasted a month. But it lasted 1 month. Yeah. So, and Colin, thank you. So basically that was it. But it was called milk.
Yeah.
It was called milk. No brains, nothing. It was just
It
milk.
was just this is milk.
Yeah, this is milk. And the low fat was blue, and 3.5% was red.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was a clear bag, and the inscription on that was in blue or red. So that was it. Yeah. But or you could buy it in stores like for cheese and milk products. It was called literally a milk bar.
Yeah.
Where you went and you bought there the product. So that if you wanted to do like a week like a grocery shopping for the week, or let's say at least for the weekend, because all the stores were closed basically Saturday afternoon and Sundays the stores were closed completely. And so if you wanted to go do something like a normal shopping, you would have to go to 5-6 stores easily.
Yeah.
So it's not like you would go into one store and you just bought everything. There were in bigger cities like in Bratislava, you could find those types of stores where everything was in one place. But the problem was that if you wanted to buy a good meat, didn't want to buy it in the big store. You wanted to go to your local butcher. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so it was literally, when you look at it, it was literally like the life was way slower.
Yeah.
Nobody was chasing after things, so you could spend the time for doing those things, because when you had work, it wasn't like you could lose your job or something.
No.
You would have to be literally drunk on a crane
Yeah.
to lose your job at
Yeah.
the time, and if you didn't end up in jail, you would have to work. Basically, there was nothing like unemployment. It wasn't
No, because
existing.
you're well, what you've done is so terrible. But don't worry, we're gonna leave you your job, but I don't
Yeah.
think you need to get paid.
And people were working like 8 hours workday. Literally meant 8 hours.
Yeah.
So there was nothing
8
like
straight hours.
there was nothing like overtime.
No.
There was overtime on certain jobs if you if your management told you that you have to work, but you got it paid. But it wasn't usually the type of things, because there was nothing like let's streamline the workforce.
Yeah. It was we need bodies. You are a body.
And it reminded me. I was recently watching a history video about like ancient Rome and basically Middle Ages, and why did it take so much time humanity to come to the principles of industries? Because until they were slaves, until there was slavery or there was cheap labor force,
Yeah.
you didn't need to do that.
No.
You didn't need to look after some automation or streamlining certain processes. And in a country where everybody had a job, you could have you didn't have to think about putting like, okay, now I will have like five men working on the road construction. You put there 20 people, 25 people.
Yeah.
Because so basically because if you were unemployed, you were basically looked upon as a parasitic being,
Yeah.
And you could end up in jail for not having work, for not going to work, for not having
Yeah.
work.
Not having a job. Yeah.
Yeah, so those were like the first shocks when people started losing their jobs in the early 90s. When there was when the first companies became privately owned, and then somebody started thinking in a business way that how many people do I need on that production line? How many people do I need for this type of paperwork or whatever? So literally from production through different types of industries to administration, everywhere people were losing jobs. It was a very problematic at the time. But on the other hand, new businesses were opening and people started to discover new things. So it wasn't like everybody lost their job like for years or whatever. It was like people lost their jobs, so they need to just imagine that for some people, they for the first time in their lives they had to be innovative.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They didn't just get told you are a shop worker, but I don't know anything about shop working. That's nice. You're a shop worker.
Yeah, and probably as I Colin P. Smith. Lack of slavery leads to industrialization. Well, that would explain why the Industrial Revolution really took off here. You know what? Actually, yes, and this is basically why people were not, like inventing critically. Like just when you look at how industries evolved in basically 19th and 20th century.
Yeah.
Literally, this is where the biggest leaps in technology started, and the 20th century is a great example, because just imagine that at the beginning of the century you didn't have car, and mid of the basically in the second half of the century, people were landing on the moon.
Yeah.
So within 60 years, what happened? Yeah. And what happened the centuries before that? So this is one of those things that were so great.
But I think another important aspect, and I could be wrong, but to really think about is, it is one thing to say everybody had a job. It didn't really mean much though, because we don't. It's not a job like today. Like, you have your job, you have a good income. If you work, you can progress in the world.
The growth,
Right?
and
There's no growth. If you're a bagger at a damn store, that's your job for life. Deal with it. Right? You're never becoming cashier unless you bribe or suck up to the right person. You are a bagger for the rest of your life. That's it.
And
You're
the
done.
problem is, if you remember, I mentioned the example of my grandfather on my mother's side, who was an electrician. Basically, he started he ended up working as a waiter, just because his political profile didn't fit the time, because he was he grew up in France, and he had all the schools he studied basically everything in France. So basically, when he was even working with numbers, I never saw him doing all the calculations, like adding numbers, or doing basic mathematical tasks in Slovak.
Yeah.
He did everything in French, because this is how he learned everything.
Yeah.
And despite he was a very skilled electrician, he couldn't work in the area because he was punished, and he had to be a waiter.
Yeah.
For many years. So yeah.
Yeah. It didn't matter what you were good at.
Yeah.
Like today, like you would go into a field you're good at. No, you were assigned. Okay, today you are farmer.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know shit about agriculture. I don't care. You farmer.
And for example, he never joined the Communist Party. And I remember that my mother's mother, so my grandmother, I got the story after we had the last stream. I spoke with my mother that she joined the Communist Party because she wanted her kids getting a good education, because that was one another thing. If your family member or somebody like your father or mother were not in the Communist Party, you had zero chances to go to get a proper education, university education. Yeah. And my mother always wanted to be a teacher, but without a university degree, you cannot be a teacher.
No.
Yep, because you need to have the proper education. So I know that she was the one in the family who was a member of the party, and I remember when she told me, I remembered that they used to have twice a year a meeting organized by her employer, and they went there. They had to pay a membership fee. It was something probably like $5 for 6 months or something. When you do the calculation, nothing. It was basically just a small fee.
But that small fee made
And
some bureaucrat rich.
but out of
Adds up.
5.5 million, or at the time, Czechoslovakia was around 15 million people. You know,
Yeah.
you add it together, and somebody was
Yeah,
had
somebody
nice
was pocketing
yeah,
a couple of dollars.
yeah. It's like every YouTuber is happy about every single super chat, if it's a
Yeah.
$1 or $5 or whatever, because it
Yeah.
adds up together. Yeah, and then you have 15 million subscribers in a country.
Yeah. And they don't
Okay.
really have a choice in the matter.
Good analogy.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Forced subscribership. Bird, I hope you're not listening.
Careful, he'll brainwash you. He did that with me.
unions were as well one of those things where people were members of, but honestly, like right now, everybody knows what unions in companies are for. You know, like fighting for basically fighting the HR in the company.
Yeah.
But right now, but at the time, it
No,
was
they
there.
were.
People were members, but it was like, why?
Yeah. They
Because
didn't
you
fight
cannot
the
lose your job.
management.
You cannot lose your job.
Yeah.
You will not get a pay increase because every
Stalin
single
said so.
basically you have probably something right now in it is pretty much normal that in let's say in certain, like when you are working for the government or you are working you have like charts where you are on certain level, but right now you can grow in your jobs.
Yeah.
At the time it was pretty difficult, or you can change your job or whatever, but basically every level had its pay, and that
Yeah.
was it.
Mhm.
Pretty much. So your unions were not fighting for your salary increase
No.
or for your job, that you could lose your job or whatever. It was just there for no reason.
Yeah. It was
Definitely.
there
Yeah.
because it looks good. We give you because under the communist rule, a lot of it was put on a dog and pony show, make the people feel like they have a choice, but they really don't.
Yeah.
And it was that false sense of choice and prosperity. Well, look, everyone has a job.
Yeah.
Under us, everyone has a job. Yeah, that 90% of them hate, and they're not getting food on their table. But yeah, they have a job. Whoop-de-ding.
One of the things that was never a big problem, literally, like when you look at countries right now, like North Korea or something, where literally people are starving to death.
Yeah.
This was something that we never had. It was never here. It was never that type of communism. There was always food on the plate.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was only pasta.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was meat, but there was always food. There was never a problem with the type of.
You just got used to not the old, what our parents used to, well, especially mine and my grandmother used to threaten. Well, if you don't like that, then you starve.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that was the way of life.
Mm-hmm.
What are we having today? Beans. Oh, I don't like beans. Can we have something else? That was not in the language. It was, we're having beans. No. Good.
And I would like to say hello, Jedi Bill.
Hey, Jedi Bill.
Thank you very much for joining.
Welcome, Jedi Bill.
And here I see some comments from Colin about here, politically wrong thing leads to not being able to get a job. Well, at least that would happen these days. In the communist time, it basically you could, if you were not agreeable with the regime, or the regime didn't agree with you, you got a different job, like my grandfather did, and it was still within let's say the humane borders. or
Yeah.
how to say it, yeah, because being a waiter is not the worst job in the world. Let's be honest. Yeah, but
it is demeaning
it's
for
not
someone
what we
who has a
studied
degree.
for.
Yeah.
But
And I think he was being facetious, which is why he had the dots afterwards. As you know,
if you didn't agree with the regime, you ended up working as a miner in mining uranium.
Yeah.
Literally mining uranium. Those were usually the how is it called? Political. What is it called? Political prisoners.
Yeah.
Or prisoners of the regime, basically. Yeah, political.
Yeah.
If you didn't agree, if you tried to escape the country, if you were not killed by specially trained
somebody
dogs,
who found you.
yeah, if you were not killed directly at the borders by specially trained dogs or shot,
Yeah.
which there were cases, you ended up basically as a traitor in an uranium mine where you would basically die within 5 years. So it was death sentence.
That does sound familiar. It goes right with John DeMarco's comment. Sounds like Krogan.
The mines are good and healthy, don't you know? We protect our workers, they say. Yeah, sure you do.
And thank you, Jedi Bill. I see here Nina Green says hello to us also. Say hi to Nina as well from us.
Yes.
So yeah, so definitely it was very interesting, and I can tell you that as a teenager, it was very young teenager, because as I mentioned, everything changed when I was 14. But things like, when I hear talking people, let's say like Gary from Rock Solid Productions, and he's doing all the retro gaming system and everything.
Yeah.
We had nothing like that.
Yeah, I was like,
right,
nothing.
We had buggers.
Pretty. I can tell you. Like, I don't know where in the United States or in Canada you got rid of the milkman, but it was something that we got introduced in the early 90s. Just to put it in
yeah, this is new.
it was milking glass bottles. Yeah, it was new. So they tried to do that. So talking about something like computer games, or when you watch right now Stranger Things, the TV show, and everything is in the 80s. Basically, I think it starts 84, 85. And they are playing their like the arcade games and everything.
Yeah.
I saw my first arcade machine in, I think, 91. And those were like arcade games brought over from Austria that they probably wanted to get rid of them, because those were like old games from mid 80s or something, and they had probably something way better than at the time already. So I saw those for the first time, and it was basically the first time I could play actually in that arcade. Was probably a year after they opened it, because it was always full.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah,
because it was novelty. Just imagine. So as I mentioned, I literally lived my 80s and 90s within one decade.
Yeah.
The 90s as they were progressing, and the 80s as I could soak in everything that was possible.
And in comparison, I think the first arcade machine I saw was somewhere around 1979, 1980.
Yep.
It was Space Invaders.
Yep.
And I was just fascinated by it.
And they were getting Space
pretty much
Invaders
those were the
90s.
games that we had at the time. Yeah. But imagine everything those trends that came here. Then basically everything that was probably available from the, let's say, late 70s to throughout the 80s, and everything came here. Everything was extremely short-lived.
Yeah.
Because
No,
people were realizing that okay, there's a new stuff,
Yeah.
and everything became a novelty, and then went away relatively quickly because the arcades were gone within 2 years
Yeah.
because it already started the era of PCs. Yeah,
Yeah.
the basically 92, 93, 94, people started to get their computers, first computers in their houses, and most of my friends had already a computer. So I still didn't have one because my parents divorced, so we were living out of from one salary at the time, and I was studying at the university. I already had my job in 94, 95. I started as a German teacher. I was 18 and I started teaching adults
Oh,
German
there
at
you
the
go.
time. So it was a very interesting time. But I had to save up the money for my first computer, and everything was sold here with extreme high margin. You remember
Yeah,
that
of
the
course.
computers in the early 90s were expensive as hell, and since
And I
it
bet
was
you they were like 3 years or 5 years behind us. So what we would think would be a new
you
computer
could
or
at the time you could already get all the new technology. The problem was
okay.
the problem wasn't with not being able to buy it. You could buy it, but
Getting the money to buy it.
the money was the
Money was
problem
the issue. Yeah.
because just when you think about it right now, we are still considered not anymore like a cheap labor country, but
Okay.
in the meantime we are, let's say, somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
But just imagine that a monthly salary, monthly. I'm not talking weekly. I'm saying a salary for 1 month. The average here is 1,200 euro in Slovakia for 1
Okay.
month. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is so. Obviously, if you have specialized jobs,
You get
you can
more. Yeah,
go.
of course.
Yeah, but basically something that I would it is considered, let's say, in the United States or in Canada, probably a 6-digit
Yeah.
job. Yeah, yearly
hmm
salary.
hmm
uh Not here. It would here the same salary is probably let's say 50K a year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically you can cut it by 60%, and this is what you get. The
Yeah.
minimum monthly salary here is 540. So it's literally the minimum wage for a
Yeah.
month. 540 euro a month here in Slovakia. Germany, Austria, which is literally an hour drive away, it is way higher.
Yeah. Like our
I think,
minimum wage is like five, $600 every 2 weeks.
yes.
So a month you're
And
looking at
I think in
over
Austria
a
it's
grand.
slightly
Yeah.
higher even. So
Yeah.
just
Because
to put it, yeah.
I think our minimum wage is now 11.25 or 11.50 an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum
So
wage.
here the minimum wage is sub €3, but it's usually like for like for teenagers when they go for
Yeah.
like summer jobs and this type of or then literally the jobs where you literally don't have to have any type of skill.
Yeah.
So
So speaking of like everything changing at 14, um, did school change at all? Like did you have to read like your grade? I guess 14. You're looking at grade 8. So
uh,
then all of a sudden you're like, oh, by the way, here's a whole bunch of shit you didn't learn.
you know what? Basically, there is like you don't have changes in mathematics or in the languages.
No.
So that stayed pretty much the same. But what extremely changed out of necessity was obviously geography.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we were
True.
living the split of the Eastern Bloc. And when the Soviet Union broke up, it was, I think, directly 1990, 1991.
Yeah.
I don't
So
remember
social
exactly.
studies drawing maps really suck
So,
because it
so
changed whole class, right?
you know what? At the time, probably publishers publishing like maps and atlases
Yeah.
earned earned a lot of money because
God
every year
damn it! This
something
didn't even get
changed.
printed yet. Throw it
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
you study Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the test, and by Monday it's all changed, so it doesn't matter.
easily, pretty much. You know what? The problem is there were many parts, and especially in the 8th grade, it was in the 8th grade. It was the history. It was the history of the 20th century.
Okay.
And just imagine the first half of the year was under communist regime, and the second half of the year was
not.
right
Change.
after. And
Yes.
By the way, this is all the shit we didn't tell you.
and by the way, this is the shit that we didn't tell you. Happened that we did. There were no like what is it called? Like school books. What is it called? Like
Textbooks?
textbooks. Thank you. The textbooks that were printed with nice covers and everything. They were just in history. They were put aside, and I can tell you, everything started on November 17th, and in January we already had prints of new history books. It was basically black and white A4 paper. It was just put together like materials put together hastily, written. There were like typos in it.
Yeah.
And
I imagine.
and everything they just put like new history books together, and we basically learned about all that stuff that was basically forbidden.
Forbidden, yeah.
Mhm.
Because
And
Now-
here's the things that we told you that aren't
Yes.
true.
yeah. But so growing up, like in your elementary years, if you had bad grades, did that affect at all? Because I'm assuming if you did just like if you did shit at your job, there would be repercussions. Was there repercussions for like if the kid just refused to learn anything or did badly in school, or was it just public opinion? Like, what's wrong with your kid? Or
basically parents were put to shame.
okay,
You know, teacher parent conferences were basically if your kid didn't perform well in the school, it was the hell for the parents.
okay,
So there was nothing like private conversations. It was always everything was set in front of the whole classroom
Oof.
about every single child. Nothing like one-to-one communication between teacher and the
Public
parent.
shame.
It was literally shame, yeah, public shaming or praising, obviously. And yeah, so that was
I know.
one thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I cut you off there.
And everything that was the first level education is grades 1 through 4, and then 5 to 8 or 5 to 9 right now is basically when you just go from the basic elementary school to high school, when you do the change. You had to basically, based on your grades, you could apply then for certain schools.
Okay.
Based on your grades, you could apply. It is still right now the case. This didn't change much. It is the problem here is right now. Slovakia has a problem with population not growing, so there are not enough children right now. So it's not like a problem to get to. So basically, some schools had to lower their standards to fill up their capacities.
Fill up a class, yeah.
But some schools already. It was let's say the first decade of the 2000s. But right now they are saying, "No, we're not doing it anymore. We are going back, because if you want to study on a good school, if you want to get a good education, we need you to have certain basics,
certain grades. Yeah,
grades and basics, so that we
Basics,
can build up on the level of the education." But it was a down curve for a certain time, especially when the population didn't grow. There were no children.
Yeah.
Because just imagine, one of the things that were pretty normal was, you are 18 during communism. Just imagine, during communism you had no problems with housing, because there were all the flats were basically, you didn't own them. It was like for rent.
Yeah.
You rent, and everything was state owned. So there was not like somebody is a building owner.
No.
Everything was owned by the state, or or the other thing was, if you had like a big company,
Yeah.
once again state owned, the company built flats for their employees.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, it was, just imagine, until 1990, it was basically, you are 18, 19, 20. The boys go, after they finish, after they turn 18, they go for two years military service. They come from military service. You get married, have children. You have 2 to 3 children, which was pretty much normal.
Yeah.
The ideal family of the 50s in the United States, as you know it from the TV shows, like the ideals. This was the ideal model, and afterwards, everything became expensive, unavailable. So right now, it is the housing situation in the post-communist countries is so harsh that. I got married at I was 35, 36, you know. People live with their parents in their 30s, you know.
Yeah.
Just imagine, once again, 1,000 euro, 1,200 euro, an average Slovak salary, and a flat in Bratislava, the capital city, which are the most expensive flats. It's literally, if I would say, like New York situation.
Right.
Costs you 50 square meters, which is, I don't know how many square feet, but small, basically.
It's not very big. It isn't anything to write home to mom about.
Tiny.
330K. If you want to own it. And you have to buy here because you don't have like rentals.
No.
Very little rentals here. People buy here flats or build houses. Yeah. So that's why, and there the population gap. Right now we are catching up a little bit right now after 30 years. But people were not but the women didn't get pregnant with 18, 19, 20. They moved it up to 25, 30, 35.
Yeah,
which is as well a trend in all the Western world, Western civilization, which is pretty much normal, but it went gradually. Gradually in, let's say, in Germany or in UK or in the United States, probably in Canada as well. So the population gap didn't appear like right now. Here it is you didn't have basically for 2 generations no children, or very little amount of children, and people didn't have like 3 children, but only 1 child, you know. So it became problematic. So this is why the education system had to adjust. But right now, what used to be the schools that used to be really good and they lowered their standards, they are increasing their standards back again. Right now, because the population curve is going up slightly.
So they're bringing back
very slightly, But they told themselves, okay, we need to do something with the education, because we need brain power. We don't want to become the labor force of Europe.
Yeah.
That we want to have our R&D. We want to invest in certain areas, because as I mentioned, we are the largest car producer in the world per capita.
Yeah.
With
I was amazed by that.
Which is crazy. And you have like whole industry around it, because it's not only the brand that is building the car. You have all the subcontractors and everybody who is
sure.
But
So-
if you don't want to just build, you want to have R&D. Let's say in the automotive industry, but you want to have the brain power as well.
Yeah.
You know?
So
and this is something that their company are
do
doing.
you see that, like, the more, I guess, the more Western it gets, the more things, like, people start, oh no, we've got it good now. Don't change too much, or you can't have too much high wages, because otherwise we're going to lose all our factories. And like, do they do that? Like, do they go like, well, we would love to raise your salary, but I mean, look what happened in Detroit.
Mhm.
Like, would that be
Right.
something that they would do?
I can give you a good example, and it's once again, I'm not going to name the company. People usually know
No.
for what company I'm working for,
Yeah.
but it's exactly the same same example that you are bringing up right now. They basically wanted to move the sales department. That sales happened at the time. Okay, it's computer manufacturer from Texas. So there are not so many based there, 4 letters. And the sales worked for the German market. The sales was working from Germany. But for the consumer market, it was already the company opened here in Slovakia in 2003, 2002, and 2003, basically November, December 2002. They wanted to open the German sales here in Slovakia, just because it is the least profitable part of the business. So
Yeah.
let's move it to a country where we don't have to pay such a large salaries.
Yeah.
And what happened here was, who is working in a sales department in a country with native speakers on the phone? It's usually considered a very low-end job.
Yeah.
Being in a call center,
Mhm.
it's basically a call center job.
Yeah.
But they realized, they came over here and they were hiring people for fairly good salaries, people who could speak German
Yeah.
in Slovakia. But it means that the person speaks already a second language.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they started, and they literally didn't have. They literally had like plans to have like 400 jobs outsourced
Yeah.
in a different country. But what happened? Next was, they realized all the people that are working here have higher education or university degrees, and they are working in a call center. This is something that we don't know in Germany, in the United States, in UK. This is not the type of the job where people with university degrees would be interested in. But the salary was good. We had the skills. It was literally a job, easy job. And if I speak like with you right now in English, I could do it in German, I could do it in Slovak. I don't mind.
Yeah.
So it was easy. And then they realized, okay, let's bring here another jobs. And 15 years later, 16 years later, 2,500 people, and mostly in finance, are working here right now in Slovakia. And the sales department shrank because they realized that, okay, when you can have people with economical education in economics working for, so basically what happened, they moved once again better paid jobs. but they would still have to pay 6 figures in Germany for the
Yeah.
same time of job. They are now paying only 5 figures.
Yeah.
But
Right.
something what happened, and why we still have the German cells, for example, here, is because they try to move it to Romania,
Ah.
to a country where the average salary is right now around 500 euro.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. It didn't work out because Romania is not so close to Austria, not so close to Germany. There is no incentive to learn German for those
Yeah.
people, so it didn't work out there. So what you spoke about, literally, yes, there is always the tendency to move jobs to lower to locations where they have to pay lower salaries and everything.
Hmm.
But the
Yep.
question is, how far can you go until it becomes
Becomes
a problem?
yeah.
Because literally you have right now,
Well,
and
actually, Canada and the United States have answered that. India.
but
I'm just saying.
I didn't want. I wanted to say exactly the same example without, and I don't want to sound like I would diminish people in
No.
India, but
No, they're
but
doing their jobs. They're doing what they got to do to put bread on the table. It's
but
the way it is.
exactly that happened in many types of jobs.
Yeah.
That they moved, let's say, the English part of consumer sales to India, and then you go to Linus Tech Tips channel, and you watch video how he is purchasing on the phone a computer from all the big brands. And
Yeah.
when he ends up in India, it's a disaster of an experience.
Yeah.
And this is something that probably is still good enough for certain countries, but for Germany it didn't work out.
No.
The NPS score, the Net Promoter Score, how would you rate your company, 1 through 10?
Yeah.
Dropped by 7 digits.
Yeah. And that's unacceptable to them.
And this is unacceptable. So basically they realized, okay, we will rather pay not the lowest possible salary. Let's stay within certain
Within the medium range.
within the medium range, but it's still so yeah. And this is basically where we are right now in many types of industry.
Yeah.
Because obviously the company the country has still economic growth. It obviously slowed down in the last year and a half, but
Right.
there is no decline, which is as well very interesting. There is no decline. It only slowed down extremely,
Mhm.
but it's not a decline, which in some other countries there was a huge decline because of because of the global situation that we have right now.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
so yeah, we are still interesting for certain countries, for certain businesses to bring over their businesses. But once again, we don't want to rely only, and this is smart thinking on the side of the politicians. They have good ideas. How they are doing it, it's miserable. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
But those are
every good
politicians.
idea is ruined by idiots.
Politicians, but I think
yeah. Well, I was trying to be vague.
yeah, we could pull the equal sign between the two words. So, but the idea behind it is very smart. They are late right now, but
yeah.
it's
Better late than never, as they always
better
say.
late than never. Yeah. So that's the whole thing.
So-
So yeah,
Going back to like when you were growing up, and you touched on it the last time we talked about, how you guys bought something, and before you even got through the door, you got
the TV
call.
story. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the call. How did you get the money for that?
Yeah.
And we would never think like that. Like I don't think the FBI ever phoned anybody in the United States, or CSIS, which is Canada's version, ever phoned anybody and went, we see that new car in your backyard.
Yes,
How did you
exactly.
afford that car? And So was there anything like that growing up that you would like look at the people today that go, oh, back in the good old days, and go, yeah, good old days where we had this,
Oh
or
yes,
good old
definitely.
days where we had that. Yeah, those were the
This
good
is
old days. You dumb sons of
you
bitches.
find it usually with people who are like reminiscing about the good old times, and this is how people this is human nature, that you keep forgetting about the bad things, and you
You
only
remember? You
remember
look back with rose-colored glasses.
rose-colored glasses, and you are trying to remember all the good things that were there.
Yeah,
So there are still people who say that the food was way better, that sausages tasted like good like sausages and not like the crap that you can buy right now. No,
mhm,
you
yeah,
know,
no,
because you had one recipe for sausages. You can now go and buy 20 different types of sausages. So find the right one with the recipe that
yeah,
you like the most. You
yeah.
know. Uh,
Whereas, no, this is sausage.
this is sausage. Everything, people saying everything is expensive right now. You know what? Cars can cost 60 grand.
Yeah,
Yes. And people are earning 1,000 euro a month or 1,200 euro a month. But no, actually, 60 grand is a BMW, you
yeah,
know, and not a Skoda that cost 16 grand in the 80s, 60,
yeah,
literally 60 to 70K um, in the, what is it called? The money that we used to have, in the currency that we used to have,
yeah,
in 60 to 7K of that currency was the car, but people were earning 2.5K at the time. Right
yeah,
now, a Skoda with costs you, let's say, 35K,
yeah,
but you are earning those 1,200 in
yeah,
average, and this is an average salary. And you
yeah,
have
Right.
still a big variety of used cars that you can buy that are
yeah,
way cheaper. You can buy a car
Mhm.
for 2 grand, and it's a car that you can use for another 3-4 years easily.
yeah.
You know,
Just take
Right.
care
so
of it, and you're fine.
and
Yeah,
and this is something that the people keep forgetting, that you had a salary of 2.5, and a new car was 70K, and there was nothing like used cars, because when people bought a car that they were waiting for 2 to 5 years, they were driving it until it rusted underneath them.
yeah, until it fell apart.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they'd
So
still stick it together with chicken wire and run it for another 500 miles.
Exactly.
probably, yeah.
Yeah, because getting the
So
next one was going to be even more difficult.
Ordeal. Yeah.
We just gave
yes.
you car. Why do you need car? Well, I got one 5 years ago, but it's all gone to hell. Well, that was you need to learn how to take care of what we give you better. Yeah, you don't need new car.
So definitely, what was easy to get a flat, to just to have your own roof,
Yeah,
the roof over your head. That was the easy way, and that was the easy thing at the time, relatively.
yeah,
And I can give you a good example how easy that was, because not everything was just bad. There were as well good things. My parents got divorced in 80. I was 6, so 82, 82 or early 83. They got their divorce, and the flat that we used to have at the time. My father was working for the military at the
yeah,
time, with like military orchestra. I mentioned it the last time that
yeah,
those were the outlaws. You don't give
yeah,
them guns because they have to play music instruments. And he was working with them, and the flat belonged to the military branch
yeah,
at the time.
Mm. Mhm.
So as they divorced, my mother and myself and my little sister moved out to the flat parents to the great parents flat, to her parents flat, and at the time, basically a social worker came over to check up on us, and they found the two little children sleeping in the bed of the grandparents. It was an
Yeah.
afternoon sleep for like you
Yeah.
put your little children for an afternoon sleep. And this is a story that my mother told me. I obviously don't remember it. And the social worker came, and 2 months later, we got a flat
Yeah.
in an area that was basically for another decade. It was a construction site because it was an area where they were just building like concrete flats, and when it's basically now you would probably call it at the time it looked like a ghetto.
Yeah.
It looked horribly. Right now it's one of the most developed part of the city,
Mhm.
because the flats are still there, but they did some construction work on those
Yeah,
flats,
they
and
need some
they build
renovating.
Remodeling.
huge, and they build a huge infrastructure around it. So you have shopping malls, you have
Yeah.
lakes, green. You have the largest green areas, like with parks and everything, is basically where we got the flat in the 80s. But I was literally, as a child, when I was playing outside, I was playing on like concrete panels and big tubes,
Yeah.
where we were playing hide and seek, and it was literally like that for about 10 years, because 83 to 93 probably, and then they started to invest into the area because they realized that we still need flats, but people won't move there because it looked crappy. Right now it is literally a very nice area of the
Yeah,
city.
well, they had to put a new coat of paint once people weren't told
Lit-
this is where
yes.
you're living.
Yeah. At the
Um,
time, just imagine that all the flats that were built at the time, they looked the same. They had like three designs. They
yeah,
had like three designs, and everything looked the same. It was like 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, done.
yeah,
And the companies that were making the wallpapers, every single flat had one of the 5 available wallpaper
Yeah.
designs.
Right. Right.
There was like 5 wallpapers, and every single house in the whole country, every single flat looked the same.
yeah.
The same wallpapers, nothing else.
It was designed for what do you need to live? Okay,
Yeah.
you need a roof over your head. You need this. You
Yeah.
need that. Okay,
I have
all this check marked. Yep. Okay, good. We're next house.
I have a good story.
All right.
It's about my in-laws. They grew up on a village. So in villages, or now it would be, and you would probably call it a small town.
Okay.
Small town of approximately 5,000 people. But we
Okay.
call them we call it here village, because city is city, village is village. It's basically just it's a small town, and they were building their house in the 80s, and they got like, you want to build a house, okay, we will give you the basically the yard where you will build it. You can buy it for very little money, and you can build a house. Do you want Model 1, Model 2, or Model 3?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They built it by themselves, but they got like 3 designs. There were probably like 10 available for the whole country from one
Yeah.
architect studio, and for this area you could go with 3, because the other designs didn't have the layout that we would like to have on the main street.
Yeah.
So you can select 1, 2, or 3. So they basically selected 1, and then they built something completely different.
Yeah.
But they got the seal of approval, like when you have when you build a house, you need to have like the inspection
The
and
permits,
everything.
yeah.
Mhm.
They got the approval on a fake project, and the house looks completely different. Like,
Yeah.
has nothing to it, even nothing in that house is as it was on the project.
Yeah.
So and it was like, okay, here you have a bottle of wine and a box of chocolates, and there you go.
Yeah.
Give
Look
us
the other way.
look the other way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this is how
There's
it
supposed
works.
to be a wall here. Here's a bottle
Yeah.
of wine. You see a wall, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much like this. And and this is like one of the stories that always
You know,
how
let's
it
go over
always
here and
worked.
talk
Yeah.
about that wall that's supposed to be there. And oh, my wife doesn't like these chocolates. Do you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So you know, one of the things that everything was basically lined up for you by the state, and if you wanted to have something else, you had to be very innovative, and you had to
And it was risky
lay
because
around the rules.
if you got the wrong person, you know, one of
And
those
like
hardliners,
like Mountain says here, there are 4 lights.
more
Yeah,
lights.
exactly. There are 4 lights.
Yeah.
Yes,
Literally,
precisely.
when you look at Cardassia, and when we talk about Star Trek, yes, they are basically like very tight
Yeah.
society. Yeah.
No. But
So, and it looked like that at the time.
yeah. But we've kept you another hour and a half here.
Yes, yes. And, if there is
The
if there is
time
an
just
interest
flies.
for part 3,
Yeah,
we could do
definitely-
that.
we'll give you a couple of weeks off. We'll let you relax.
Maybe
And
3.
next time we'll warn you 10 minutes before the show.
Please, 10 minutes before the show, so that I
Maybe
don't
5.
forget.
Yeah, maybe 5.
So
But,
and once again, I was talking here for 1.5 hours. I hope it was somehow interesting.
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
You kept the chat. You kept it's like I said, it's one advantage we have within the community is we know, like, we are able to talk to people from all over, and
All over the place, yeah.
I find other history channels don't take advantage of that very often. They just want to stick to the damn book and go, well,
Yeah.
this book says. I don't
Here's
give a
the
shit what the
statistics.
book says. I want to know from somebody who lived the damn thing.
Here's the name of the place. Here's
Yeah.
the name of the person. No,
Yeah,
got personal stories
It's
going
not
on
boring
here.
that way.
and that's much more interesting.
Yeah, and we thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to promote or?
No, thank you. I will. I would like to promote your channel more because you are criminally undersubscribed. So
Yes,
Well, we agree with you
try.
there.
I hope the community will grow because I like everything that you are doing here on this channel. It is my privilege to be here for the second time right now, and I hope not the last time.
Oh no, we'll bring you back for
Oh,
another
we'll have
one.
you back.
There'll
Thank you very
always be
much.
little things that stick in my head because it's just like for us who live in the West, especially like even myself who grew up in the 80s and 90s here, we never had a tank sitting on the corner or, you know, a soldier walking down the street, and if he didn't like what you were doing, it could be
Yeah.
bad for you. You know, playing with the wrong kids, or, you know, hanging out with the wrong families, or, you know, stuff like that.
Exactly, and you know what? For the next time, just remind me, give me at least a week heads up, and I will try to collect like you know some from some local historical sources, some interesting things, and show as well like a few pictures.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. All right. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you to Joseph. Thank you to everybody in chat. I hope everybody found this a little interesting, a little informative, a little bit of different way of looking at history. Actually, talking to somebody who was there, who would have thunk it. And till next time, as my late co-host used to say, thank you and good night.